Oh, you all right, lads? And welcome back to the Off the Line podcast with myself and Jamie.
Hi, Ron.
And this week we've got a guest. We couldn't not have this guest on for this week's episode because, Tom, do you want to introduce yourself? Who do you support?
Well, I'm Tom. I know you lot from futsal tonight back in Winchester. And I'm a Saints fan. Soon to be not Saints fan, but at the moment Saints fan.
Yeah, well, me and Jamie have capitalised on what's happened this week to kind of boost the views a little bit.
I wouldn't say that at all. I think the game happened, and then Tom, completely unprovoked, said, "Do you know what? I really fancy coming on the podcast and swearing a bit."
There's a few things I need to get off my chest, to be honest.
Yeah,
I need
this platform, mate.
I'm fuming. I'm still fuming.
I don't blame you. Right, well,
there's a lot to digest from that game.
Yeah, the plan is for this week. We're going to be talking about kind of the biggest headlines from just the game week gone, the last 3 days of football, just the biggest games, and we're going to just quickly go over all of them, and then we'll finish with the Southampton game, obviously, and go over that. We're going to start with Wolves against Arsenal, a game, the story of 2 red cards, one of which was completely deserved, and one of which, in my opinion, wasn't deserved at all. The FA obviously disagree with me, but Jamie, what did you think of the game between these two?
Well, I actually watched a lot of this game. I didn't see Pepe's goal, but I know that it was a good one, and he's been in a good run of form lately, which is something that needs to be said because he's had a lot of stick. But you know, the David Luiz red card, it was poor defending in the first place, and then when Willian Jose gets put through, he obviously clips his ankle, and it's completely accidental. His arms are up as he's running past him, and I just think, and in the rules, it states that if there was no attempt for the ball to be made, and you know this will be a gripe for Tom later as well. It's not a red card. It's a yellow card at the most, or a caution. It's still a penalty, I think, but it's not a red card at all. And then obviously the burned Leno situation is just hilarious,
funny,
to be honest.
It's indefensible.
Yeah,
you can't.
Terrible goalkeeper.
Looking for a volleyball contract.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously Matt Ryan's injured at the moment, so I think Arsenal are going to have to play that Runarsson in their next game, who I don't think fills the rest of the backline with confidence. And obviously, David Luiz will miss the next match as well, you know, it weakens Arsenal considerably after a good run of form. Did you watch this game, Tom? Did you have any comments on sort of what happened?
I did watch the game. I thought, same really as you. That first red card, I didn't think it was a red, but at the time they sort of accepted it was. Like, you look at David Luiz's reaction; he's not sort of defending himself. He almost expects the red. And I think that plays a lot on referees' minds. So I think after that, they just sort of thought, get rid of him.
Yeah.
And then, Leno speaks volumes, really. That was just awful. God knows what that was.
Yeah.
But good goal from Pepe. I thought overall it was a pretty good game, to be honest. Moutinho scored a screamer.
Yeah, that was a brilliant goal.
Rocket of a goal.
And Wolves needed that as well, I think. They need those.
They did,
points. They've been suffering a lot without Raul Jimenez.
Definitely, yeah.
Anything from you, Sam, before we move on to the
well, I was good. I mean, Wolves as an overall performance, dug in after David Luiz was sent off, and there was always going to be issues for Arsenal. It's important to know that is only a 1-game ban for Luiz, because I think a lot of people, I know a lot of people were kind of confused about the rules surrounding red cards. I think the general thought is that as soon as there's a red card pulled out, it's 3 games.
About the rules? Yeah. What? That doesn't sound like the Premier League.
Who would have thought it, Jamie? No, I mean, overall, a decent enough performance from Wolves. Arsenal obviously made it a little bit easier for them, especially Leno. I think the issue with the Leno one was he's come out to try and, once he's in no man's land outside of the area, he obviously can't use his hands, but he's jumped to clear the ball and he's completely misjudged it.
Yeah.
So he's almost in the air with the ball in front of him, and he's in a position where he can't use his chest to kind of clear the ball.
Yeah.
So he has to just he completely left himself.
You can tell he's a goalkeeper, can't you?
Yeah.
It's just a shame he was 5 yards outside his area.
No,
I mean, I think you could have sort of ushered it out, sort of let it go past you, because it's a wet surface, it's skidding off. I know you've got Adama Traore running after you, which is a bit of an issue, but it's.
You just got to hit it with any part of your body with the football, apart from your hands.
Yeah.
It's all you got to do.
Just completely misjudged.
And he's just gone with the hands. It was a weird one.
It was a difficult one.
But
Anyway,
I think
move on.
if you think David Luiz stays on the pitch, though, just quickly, do you think if David Luiz stays on the pitch, Arsenal go ahead and win or Wolves win?
It's tricky, isn't it? I think they probably they get a point, because I still don't think Arsenal play, hugely well, even with 10 and 11 men. So, but yeah.
Fair.
We move on.
Anyway,
yeah, I think it'll be a point.
Jamie, we'll let you have your moment in the sun now, because West Ham yet again picked up a
can't see me right now.
A really important 3 points, courtesy.
Right now, but I'm doing the J-Lings sign.
Courtesy of a certain Jesse Lingard, who seems to have realised a new home for himself at West Ham. Jamie, do you have anything to say about his performance and West Ham's overall performance the other day?
Well, he got man of the match, and absolutely deservedly so. I think even
deservedly
without the 2 goals that were scored, he still was hugely important to the overall play that West Ham had. I think obviously with his 2 goals, the second one's a keeping error. Martinez didn't have his best day at the office.
No.
But 2 goals is 2 goals for Jesse Lingard. That's a huge amount of confidence, and the way he sort of ran the show in the middle of the park, in his link up with Antonio and his link up with Benrahma, was really pleasing to see. And that can only, the thing is with West Ham, sometimes we just sort of go backwards and we don't have that creative spark. I think Jesse Lingard brings that final ball, that final product that we've been screaming out for, which will really take us to new heights. Whether that sort of continues is another issue in itself, because I'm still a West Ham fan. I still know what can happen. But I just think, Thomas Souček scoring another goal in absolutely unstoppable form at the moment. I think everybody in the Premier League would agree he's one of the best midfielders in the Premier League at the moment. And it's only looking up for West Ham. Ollie Watkins obviously scoring for Villa, but the way Moyes doubled up on Grealish with Fredericks and Soufal, and Soufal's an absolute monster. He didn't let Grealish have a sniff, and yeah, that was a really good performance from us, and 3 points only 2 points behind Liverpool, which you told me that at the start of the season. I'd bit your flipping arm off, but
yeah.
What do you guys think about?
No, I mean, look, a great result for you lot. You kind of continue to motor along, and you've beaten. In this result, you've beaten another team that have probably shocked a lot of people this season. That performed really well. And you've gained a player that potentially could light up the second half of your season. Jesse Lingard was someone who was forgotten at Manchester United, struggled with a lot of stuff in his personal life, and has become a bit of a joke amongst Twitter and people following football. And it's good actually to see him playing football again, because the breakout season he had at United was really impressive. And I hope he can rediscover his football and his kind of love for the game at Manchester United.
So do
I. Not at West Ham, rather. And
he seems to be a player who's got a lot to prove, isn't he, Lingard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I think that's the main
I think that will work in his favour. I think at West Ham he's found a club where he's going to get game time.
Yeah.
I reckon he's got a lot to prove. Well. He could. Exactly. I reckon he could do quite well there.
I hope so, and I hope he doesn't just go straight back to United afterwards as well.
Yeah.
If he does well, I hope we sort of pull our finger out of a.
Yeah, and do you know what? So do I, because I
transfer market.
I've got to be honest. I don't see a future for him at Manchester United.
No.
Still, because they have got players that are going to play in front of him. So I do hope that Manchester United kind of let him stay and let him continue his run with
he doesn't
the team.
want to be second fiddle to Fernandes, does he? So. But yeah.
No, I mean Fernandes, Rashford, all of these players. He's not going to want to play in behind them, especially considering the fact that United will probably spend some money in the window as well.
Yeah, trying to replace
yeah. Credit to Jesse Lingard. He's probably one of the top performing players this year. And we'll move on to a London derby, which I watched last night, and I have not stopped smiling since. Chelsea yet again go another Premier League season without Spurs getting a win over them. I think it's 3 or 4 seasons now since Spurs have beaten us in the league. and they still try and claim that they're as big a club. That's just, they can have the League Cup earlier on in the year. We'll beat them in the league. Thomas Tuchel continues his fantastic run of form as Chelsea manager. We're yet to concede a goal under him. Mason Mount was man of the match last night. Again, a really, really remarkable performance from him. And I've got to say, I think the whole team looked bright. Maybe probably put under the cosh a little bit in the second half by Spurs after we lost Thiago Silva to an injury, which hopefully isn't that serious. But overall, Chelsea are looking a lot more organised and a lot more set in themselves than we were under Frank Lampard, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
Yeah,
I've got to be honest. I think I'm a lot more positive about kind of the future of our season now, and the way we're looking. The only thing we have to fix is we've got to start scoring more goals. But I think that will come with
Timo Werner.
Yeah,
he's got to start scoring.
Hopefully, Thomas Tuchel can get the best out of him. I think from the system we're playing at the moment, it is similar to the system. He did look.
He did in spells, yeah.
He had a lot of positive moments yesterday. He's still lacking that kind of final touch in the box. Sergio Aurier made a really great last-ditch tackle on him in the second half, and he was about to have a shot on goal on the edge of the 6-yard box. He was unlucky yesterday to not have more of an effort and more of an opportunity to score a goal. But obviously, he won the penalty. And I've got to be honest. I mean, watching Spurs in the first half yesterday, Jose Mourinho's system at Spurs without Harry Kane is looking very, very ineffective.
Yeah, it looks poor. They were poor.
Without a kind of big influential centre forward on the pitch, they just look completely lost. And I've got to say, Heung-min Son looks completely lost without Harry Kane as well. A player yesterday who, I've got to be honest, spent the whole game on the floor, it seemed like. Kind of flopping around and falling over. I think there's a lot of work still to be done at Spurs, and I hope that I would think that they would find something else, and Mourinho would find something else, because the system currently, as it is not working.
No.
No.
For however long Harry Kane is out, they're going to continue to struggle to get goals and look dangerous going forward. Tom, do you have any thoughts on this game? Did you watch the game?
Yeah, I watched it. My brother's a Spurs fan, so fucking that's great, isn't it? Got to live with one.
Say hi from me.
But yeah, so he's big old Jack darling. But yeah, it was a game where I was watching it and I thought, just Spurs had nothing going forward. They lack creativity. They it's a situation at Spurs where they know how to defend because they just park the bus. They defend in numbers really well. But it's going forward. They sort of put their head up and wait for someone to make a move, but then no one moves.
Yeah.
And it's like, because of that, it slows things down. It's easy to defend against. It often needs to passing along the back four. I think, and Ndombele, though, he's a class player in terms of he really does run that midfield. He can almost do that on his own.
Yeah,
but yeah, without Kane is a big miss. Like there was that chance early on with Vinicius Jr. And, Son's out wide and Akers. Kane would play through Son, but Vinicius tries to go it alone and loses it. And I think that's the area. If they lose one or two of those key players that they've got, Spurs, they're just a different team and they're easily beatable, I think.
Yeah, I think Vinicius had that chance in the last seconds as well, that, a header that he was easily on top of and just missed it wide. Harry Kane doesn't miss those sorts of headers.
Yeah, exactly. It's that clinical stuff they're missing.
And that's a point for Tottenham. What I would be concerned about as a Chelsea fan is still no goals coming from further forward than midfield. As much as it's a team game, and you've got to look at the whole team performance and see, Marcos Alonso, Azpilicueta, and Jorginho are the only 3 goal scorers under Tuchel. And you look forward and you want to see your Hudson-Odois and your Mason Mounts and your Timo Werners and Tammy Abrahams. You want to see them scoring as well.
Of course.
Well, Chelsea did play well though, I thought.
Complete team performance. They did play absolutely fantastically, and I won't take it away from them because Tuchel's got them playing, good disciplined football. And obviously the Silva injury is a bit of a concern for Chelsea fans, but you've got capable replacements.
Didn't look. Yeah, we've got Anders Christensen to come in. He seems pretty set on playing this back three. The thing is, what Tuchel needed to sort out first and foremost is to stop us leaking goals, which was an issue that we had under Frank Lampard towards the end. Was that we were playing very kind of gung ho, attacking, everyone go for it football, but then we were susceptible at the back, and we were playing a back four, and it was becoming a real issue that we were leaking goals. Now we've gone 270 minutes of football under Tuchel without conceding a goal. We've only faced 12 shots in 3 games. So it defensively,
and he's changed the back four a bit as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, we've got. I think the thing is with Thomas Tuchel, I think what he's probably looking at this and thinking is that if we can stop conceding goals, if we can be a hard team to beat, then the kind of attacking side of it will come with time and coaching. That will land at some point. But we've got to, at first and foremost, become a difficult team to beat and a difficult team to break down. And I think that's probably what he's aiming for. The goals from the front 3 will come. I think that's probably going to be more of a nuanced area, and it's going to require a lot of coaching to implement that system. But once it happens, I mean, I know from his teams, with PSG and more probably comparatively Borussia Dortmund, they were heavy goal scoring teams once Tuchel was able to implement his system. You've got to remember, he's only been here for a week and a half, 2 weeks still. He's still working with these players, and he's still kind of trying to mould them to his way of playing football. So the goals will come with coaching, but at least I can watch Chelsea now and feel comfortable that we're not going to be leaky at the back. And I think that's the big thing for us. Anyway, we'll move on to another bad result for Liverpool. The invincible champions from last year, these immortal beings from last year, the Klopp's Warriors, have lost 2 games in a row at home against Brighton and Burnley, 2 relegation strugglers. What's going wrong, Jamie? What is going wrong at Liverpool?
It's hard to say, isn't it? Going 68 games unbeaten in your own backyard and then losing 2 in a row to Brighton and Burnley, as you say. It's baffling, and I would be baffled as a Liverpool fan. It's obviously great to see Brighton coming to Anfield and looking like they can get something out of the game. And I even look at the stats. I didn't actually watch the whole game. Brighton had more shots than Liverpool at Anfield. How ridiculous is that?
Bloody hell.
And I just think Liverpool look a different team without players like Sadio Mane, and obviously losing Alisson in the 11th hour definitely doesn't help. And you can't bring in Adrian because he's an absolute liability. So you've got to bring in this 19-year-old Kelleher who's looked bright, but isn't up to the standard of Premier League at all. And Brighton just sort of did what they had to do against Liverpool, and got the goal from Alzate in the 56th minute, and credit to them. But yeah, as you say, it's worrying for Liverpool fans. And in our predictions video the other day, we said that Liverpool were going to come second. But you look at performances like these, and you think, are Liverpool actually going to, finish in the higher echelons of the league this season? Are they going to sort of languish to maybe even a 4th, 5th position? I
think they'll still get 4th, though. I think
it's almost unimaginable for Liverpool to finish in the below kind of 2nd or 1st this season, especially with the way that they played last year. I understand that Liverpool might be struggling with injuries, and you can say what you want about that, and of course that's going to have an effect on their defensive output and how they're keeping out goals. Obviously, they're leaking goals against teams like Brighton and Burnley, which probably is a worry for Jurgen Klopp. They're teams that Liverpool would have brushed aside last year without. And
bringing on Divock Origi when you're in need of a goal.
Well, this is the worry with Liverpool. They've been a team for years now under Klopp that have been free scoring, high energy, high attacking work rate, kind of battering teams, and they were. I mean, they played Tottenham a few days ago now, and they absolutely caned Tottenham.
Yeah, caned West Ham as well.
Yeah, caned miles ahead of, much more reflective of where they were last year. But they come up against these teams that sit back, and it's almost as if they are now completely bereft of ideas going forward. Players like Salah and Mane look tired and kind of overworked and struggling going forward. And you can't put that down to defensive injuries. You can't say, well, Van Dijk's out, so we're not scoring as many goals as we should. That's, there's an issue at Liverpool where they need to rethink the system that they play, because these teams are going to come to Anfield and they're going to sit back and they're going to defend. And Liverpool need to figure out what they do when they can't get in behind teams.
Yeah, they need to have that plan B, don't they? And I think
Definitely.
Because they're still like impeccable on the counter.
Yeah.
A team like Liverpool, they're impeccable on the counter. They got pace to hurt you. But I feel like, again, if you're just sitting back waiting for them to come onto you, then who have they really got to play the passes? Thiago just doesn't seem to be hitting the mark at the moment. I think that's why they brought Thiago in to try and like link up the sort of midfield with attack, but he just hasn't hit the mark.
I think it's missing Henderson in that midfield. I think.
Do you know, I was about to say that.
Yeah,
he was a key player. He sort of commands it, doesn't he? And sort of,
I think
he's an on the voice sort of. Well, yeah.
I think they've definitely have, and you look at and you will say, of course, the centre backs issue is huge for Liverpool. Losing Gomez, Van Dijk, and Matip and Fabinho is mental and unthinkable at the start of the season. So you do have to have a little bit of sympathy for that, because I don't know.
But then it's just been January. They should have brought maybe.
That's an owner
a team
issue.
like Liverpool. They've got the money to buy, and it's January. So
no, you preach to the choir with Liverpool fans, but I think that their owners just don't want to dig their hands in their pockets, which is baffling. But here we are, and
no, well,
Liverpool,
it is what it is. We can't be,
not looking like having a huge amount of impetus going forward.
Sure, Liverpool will be in for some of our players.
The upside of that for kind of, I mean, Liverpool fans won't agree with me on this, but the upside of that for kind of just generally football fans is that this is a bloody exciting Premier League season. Yeah. I've got to say, you go into every game week and none of the top teams are safe from getting beaten.
Apart from City.
You don't know what's going to happen apart from City, who are looking absolutely immortal at the moment. They're looking fantastic, I've got to say. But we will move on to the reason why we brought Tom Darling on today. The final game we're going to talk about this week is, of course, Manchester United 9, Southampton 0. The second time Ralph Hasenhüttl has fallen to a 9-0 loss. Obviously, the first one against Leicester City. And I've got to say, I think this one was different to the Leicester one. I chalk this down to a shock. I chalk this down to a shock result and not reflective of where your team is at all. Actually, I think this is a really unfair scoreline for you. Like, you struggled after losing Jankovic after a minute, which was a silly tackle for him to make. Tom, I'll let you lead off on this one.
There's a lot to digest, but the first instant, of course, the Jankovic. I mean, this is a guy who, it was a suicidal tackle. What was he thinking that early on? Like, this is someone who, Jankovic, I get he's only 19. There's been a lot of talk with him as well, saying that he's got 2 agents. He had a transfer request. He didn't want to play for Southampton. And it was all this sort of in the background that I've read up on. But it starts 2 minutes in, and it's like a pilot training all his life to be a pilot, and he's finally given the chance to fly a plane, and he goes and crashes it on his first fucking, time flight.
Doesn't make it off the runway.
I was literally thinking of it like that was a terrorist attack what he just did.
Oh my God!
That was awful what he did to our team.
Brilliant.
But the thing is, it's his first start, but he's had game time in the first team before, and he's never thought of doing anything like that. So I've no sympathy for the guy Jankovic. I don't want him to play for Southampton again. But anyways, we were where we were after that first minute. Yeah. And then I think as soon as it got to 4-0 within like the first 40 minutes, I had the same feeling I did when I was at Leicester watching that. It just felt like 9-0's coming.
Well, yeah,
and you just couldn't see a way out of it.
I remember watching the Leicester 9-0, and I just thought, oh my God, this is awful. Is this sort of a Hasenhüttl thing? Does he just sort of capitulate if things don't go perfectly for him, or is it just?
I don't know. I think if you're playing against a team and they've got someone sent off within the first minute, you're going to win the game like United did, and I think that changed United's mentality as much as it changed ours. We thought we were defeated. United thought we can go get 9.
Yeah.
And I think United just had that in their mind that we're going to get 9. We're not going to stop until we get 9. And that's a very difficult thing to overturn when we had that sort of mentality.
Definitely.
But then half time came. It was what, I think 4 or 5-0 down by then.
4 at half time.
4 at half time. I think Hasenhüttl I know he said just try and keep a clean sheet for the second half. And of course, Che goes and scores at the other end. A goal ruled out because of a bullshit offside. Like the line they drew, Fred's knee is where they drew the line from. Che's leg is behind that line.
Yeah.
So God knows how they've drawn it and it's ended up in front for them to rule it out. It just seems bollocks. And I was watching it. It's one of them when you look at the more they look at it on the monitor, the more you're thinking, okay, they're going to rule it out. But you just think they can't rule it out, and they fucking did.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
no.
well,
So yeah, and that
we can
didn't
have a- we
help
can have
us
a-
either.
we can have a quick conversation, can't we, about VAR, because there were a good few incidents this week. Obviously, we had 3 red cards. A goal for Southampton which was ruled out offside. It wouldn't have affected the game, but obviously it does.
I don't think we lose 9-0 if it gets
No,
if that
don't.
goal
If that
doesn't get
goes
ruled
in,
out. We don't
if
lose
that goes
9-0.
in, it finishes 4-5.
And what I will say just quickly with that, I think in a league where goal difference is so important and final league positions are decided by a matter of goals, like 1 goal, 2 goal. If Southampton, you're obviously going to lose that game once you're 4-0 down at half time, unless you have an insane comeback. You may lose it 5-2, maybe 4-2, something like that. Instead of having a -2 goal difference, you've now got a -9 goal difference.
-9, I know, it's painful. And you look at our bench as well for that game. We had 2 keepers on the bench. Like, our squad isn't big enough. We're hit by injuries to Diallo, Romeu. Who else was at that game? We had a lot of. Yeah, and now we got those red cards as well. Just doesn't help.
Yeah, a -7 goal difference for Southampton as well now, which is ridiculous, really.
It is.
But go on, Sam. What were you going to say after
It is. Look, the thing is, it's with Southampton at the moment. I can't think of many teams in the league that can lose 9-0, and I'm still looking at their coach and going, he's one of the best in the league.
Yeah.
I know.
I understand what you're saying about kind of it is an awful result to go down by, and obviously goal difference is massive. But I've got a couple of things to say. Jankovic, first of all, I think was a youngster coming into kind of thrown into the melting pot a little bit. If you are Jankovic, you're going to be looking at this game thinking, right, this is my opportunity to prove myself on the highest stage. I'm going away, Manchester United. I'm starting for the team. I think it was probably a moment of youthful exuberance, throwing himself into a tackle.
Try and break a Scotsman's knee.
I think what he was trying to do was look as if he's kind of ready to be that person for the team, to kind of hurl himself into tackles. He massively misjudged it and definitely should have gone. And we'll face 3 games out now.
Yeah.
Whether he would have played those games anyway, it remains to be seen. What I will say about VAR, obviously Southampton won their appeal against the red card for Jan Bednarek yesterday. Yeah, definitely. I think it was a bad decision from VAR. And this VAR issue that we have seemingly every week seems almost exclusive to the Premier League, because I haven't heard many complaints about VAR in the Champions League. I haven't heard many complaints about VAR from the other major leagues in Europe that are using it. Definitely not as many as we're having. So, is this an issue of VAR itself? Is it an issue of?
I think it's got to come down to refereeing. Yeah. I think it does. I think if you look at that, our second red card. If you look at that, it's to any footballer or anyone who's played football, they know that that's not a penalty. I think when you're a referee, they're trained here. Just because I actually was a qualified ref, but I mean, I know they sort of train you just to look for like the small contact. And I think with VAR, they looked for like the tiniest bit of contact as an excuse to give the penalty.
Yeah.
Like if you tell any football pundit just to look at the monitor, they'll tell you that's not a penalty. But if you tell a ref, they'll tell you it is a penalty and a red card. Yeah. So I think their opinion on what's a foul is just skewed. But it was awful.
I think refs at the moment are looking for any reason to give a penalty. They're looking for any minimal contact for them to be able to give it. Whereas, refs should be looking at both sides. It appears to me as though diving is becoming almost more effective, because if a player can get any kind of contact on his legs
and go down, it looks a penalty when you slow it down, doesn't it?
Because you can watch it back in super slow motion on a monitor at the side of the screen, and it looks as though he's been touched, he's been tripped over.
What I will say as well,
Anthony,
it's a disgraceful dive. It's an absolutely disgraceful dive. There's no question about it. Your team's 6-0 up, and you're and you're through on goal. And you're not even going to take the penalty. Like, what is he thinking?
I know,
it's
it's
absolutely
crazy.
baffling. And obviously, there might be a little bit of contact just on, I think it was his right thigh, and he feels that. And now players are trained to say if you feel any contact in the box whatsoever, you go straight down, and you get this VAR check in 2 frames per second. And it is genuinely baffling to me, and I think it's the Refs Association. I don't know what the
I think it is. Like there was a problem. Yeah, there was a problem with refereeing right before they brought in VAR.
Yeah,
they brought in VAR, which I think VAR is an incredibly useful tool, but there's still a problem with refereeing. When are we just going to say it's the referees?
Yeah,
like you've given them VAR now, and they're still getting things incredibly wrong. Like it's got to be the referees. It's the only constant there,
Yeah, absolutely.
Martial before the contact was already halfway on the floor. Yeah. That's the thing. You look back and you go, oh, there is contact on his leg. It's because Martial's planted his feet and is already halfway over before he's even.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And anyone with a brain, you look at it and you go, anyone with a brain can see that is not a red card. It's not a penalty. And yet these officials that we have in place in this country, PGMOL have apologised seemingly week after week, have apologised to clubs for decisions that they say were wrong.
Yeah.
Just get it right. Get it right in the first place.
I know, innit? Yeah, there's no help saying that. You are going to
cost teams league positions. You could you could send the team down doing things like this. You could cost the team a top 4 place. Winning the league, you could cost them by getting these decisions wrong.
Bournemouth,
it's no good getting it wrong, and then I was going to say it's no good getting it wrong and then apologising afterwards and saying, "Oh, we're sorry, we got it wrong." Don't get it wrong.
It makes it worse. Almost, it almost makes it worse that they rescinded Bednarek's red card now, because it's like, well, how was that given? What more information have you got now, which you didn't have at the time, to say that wasn't a red card?
And Louise as well.
And then you look at Louise, and that still stands when it's the same tackle.
It's like they're tossing a coin and going, right, what should we give this decision as?
It's just, who should we piss off this time, It's fucking does me head in.
The inconsistencies are maddening, and we could sit here and moan about VAR for hours. The three of us, we could sit here and go after it, and it is a ridiculous system, and it needs to be changed.
Have you seen what Saints have done? They've also requested that Mike Dean and the other referee, I think involved, was it Lee Mason or someone, doesn't referee Saints games anymore, because they were also in charge of the VAR room for the game against Villa, where we should have had the penalty from that blatant handball.
Mike Dean
and the other one, Mike Dean's a knobhead, mate. He's just fucking so egotistical. I hate the cunt.
He's a conversation that this is now very explicit on Spotify. We do apologise.
Sorry, man. Fucking Mike Dean, man.
Mike Dean's a conversation all on its own. It's a conversation we could sit here and have. I think probably the best thing to do is, before anyone gets too over emotional on this subject, is to wrap up. Tom, you've been fantastic, and I do agree with everything you said about Southampton. I wouldn't worry too much about kind of future performances. I think this was a one-off result. I can't see Southampton struggling.
Hopefully it was. We got the right man in the charge anyways to turn it around. Yeah. Support for Hasenhüttl just got stronger, if anything, after that. I think so many people realise that we've got a valuable manager here who has literally, he's the only one we know that can turn it around here.
Oh yeah, fantastic. I mean, you look at how Southampton reacted to the 9-0 before, and how they turned it around. They are now as a squad. Hasenhüttl is a fantastic manager, and will continue to manage that club remarkably well. And I can't fault him at all. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. And hopefully, all the games we've discussed today we're all really decent football games, and we're all excited to watch. Unfortunately, refereeing is playing a part in the conversation again, and will continue to do so until there is a review of the way that games are refereed in this country. And we hope that happens sooner rather than later, because fans are going to start to not want to watch this game. Jamie, have you got anything to add?
No, not really. I think you put it perfectly. I just wanted to say a big thank you to Tom for coming on. It's been an absolute
thanks for having me.
Obviously, it's an exciting
pleasure being
of football this weekend as well, with Liverpool Manchester City. We'll definitely be talking about that in next week's episode. And that's pretty much it. Sam, do you want to take us out?
Boys, it's been a pleasure. If you agreed, disagreed with anything we said today, drop us a message. Instagram and Twitter is @OffTheLinePodcast. Drop a comment down below if you're listening on YouTube. Subscribe, like, and all that jazz. And we will see you next time.
Cheers, everyone.